Hi, is it on? Let me know if it's on in the chat, because I think I started, but I'm not really sure, so... Oh, hey, hi! Great, thanks. Hi, nice to see you here. Thank you for coming. So today we're gonna be drawing Maleficent, and I'm gonna be talking about every step I do, so you can draw along or you can just learn something new if you want or if you're interested. So I gathered some references here, watched the second movie yesterday and was pretty inspired with her look with the raven skulls all over her shoulders. Looks pretty neat. So today's gonna be kind of like a tutorial maybe, and also a Q&A, because if you have any questions about my experience, stuff I do to earn some money, how did I start, where I've come from, and everything about it, you can ask questions, but I'll try to just talk about it from the very start, from the very beginning, from the year I started drawing and why I started, and how I improved, how many years it took me, and yeah, pretty much everything. But I also will be explaining all the steps it takes me to make a portrait. So yeah, I think we'll have to wait for a little bit so that people can gather up and just gather the crowd, I guess. While we're waiting, I think I just explain who I am, I guess. I'm a digital artist. I've been drawing for 11 years. 10 of them is digitally, because I started drawing with pencils at first. But since then, since I bought my first tablet, I guess it was just drawing non-stop. Yeah, so Maleficent. Okay, I'm drawing inside, but you don't have to if you're using Photoshop or you're using Procreate or any other software. It's okay, because software for drawing is pretty much the same. They have just like little tweaks that are different, but it's not big differences. So it's okay. Let me know if you see my cursor, because if you don't, I need to zoom in. So let's start drawing. So each portrait starts with a circle, which is pretty obvious, I guess, but it just you need to start with a base so that the anatomy of the face doesn't just fall apart and it doesn't go in different directions. But if you make mistakes, if it looks kind of wonky or not like you intended to look for it to look like, so it's not a big problem if you're drawing digitally. But if you're drawing on the paper, eraser is your best friend, I guess. But yeah, start with the circle, and then you need to draw the line that will identify the angle of the face. For example, I will be drawing the 3/4, so you have to draw it like not in the center of the circle, but a bit to the side. And also don't forget that the face of the human is not completely round. It's a little bit kind of like a circle cut from the sides, a little bit like this. So don't, well, you could do that, but it wouldn't be very like anatomically correct. So it's better to cut a little bit of the circle. See? If you want to draw different directions of the face, for example, you need to start with this line because it will help you to build the face. Oh. And then like that. See? It will make your life easier. So I'm just gonna erase it. Then next step you're gonna do is draw the lines that will identify the eyebrows and the nose. Where should you, sorry, face divides into 3 parts: your forehead, nose, and chin, but also you have the top of your head. So if you're drawing, for example, straight up head, don't just divide it in 3 parts like this, because this way, if you have your eyebrows right here, you won't have any space for the top of your head, and it will be kind of like cut off. So not really this way, but a bit on top. Okay, then the next thing you want to do is draw this line a little bit further. Also, don't forget that the face is a little bit not round, but it's in 3D, so you need to draw the lines a little bit curved and draw an ear right here. I'm just drawing like a little curved line. So it's just a sketch, so we're not bothering about the details just yet. Hi everybody who just joined the stream. Glad to hear you. Glad to hear you. Glad to see you come. Okay, so the next step is also you need to draw this line, the hair, kind of like the hairline, because it will be easier for you later. It goes from the kind of angle of your forehead, like from here to the ear, and then from the ear to the chin, it's going to be your cheekbone. Since Maleficent has really prominent cheekbones, I will really need the lines. This, let's a little bit make it bigger. Also, if it's too fast for you, you can just watch through the stream later, because it will be available on the YouTube, and just draw along if you want, or just make notes or anything like. Oh, by the way, I'm flipping the canvas because it will help me to see if I make any mistakes, because when you look at just from one angle, your eyes get a little bit you get used to the picture you see, and you can see your mistakes. So next thing that I do is drawing nose, because drawing nose is very important when you draw different directions, because if you draw it the wrong way, the whole face is just gonna turn. So how I draw nose from these directions, it's really just like a zigzag, I guess, because on the stage of the sketch I'm not really bothered about the details. We just need to figure out the whole base and then build up from there. See this angle, the bridge of the nose, it's kind of in the middle of this cross, but a little bit, a tiny bit to the side. And then you can draw the eyebrows. Again, if it's not the exact shape you want it, it doesn't matter just yet, because it's just a sketch. Okay, let's see. Look at the eyebrows of Maleficent. It's pretty angular. I'm gonna choose the different color so you can see. See, it's pretty angular, and this kind of angular lines will help to bring out the character's traits. For example, more softer, like curvy lines or circles. It always is associated with something like squishy, warm, something kind and good, and anything that is pretty sharp and triangular is always something not bad, but kind of scary, evil maybe. So we can exaggerate her eyebrows, make it a little bit more curved, or curved, angular, sharp, and then fix it later if it doesn't fit. Yeah, it looks fine to me. And let's think about the face expression. Do we want her to have a evil smile, or do we want her not smiling? I think I'm gonna just duplicate it. So have two versions of the sketch. Also about the mouth, you need to divide this third of the face into two, and kind of a little bit in the middle, maybe a little bit higher, is where the mouth is placed. I don't know, I kind of don't like this version because it doesn't bring out the emotion. It's kind of meh. So maybe change to something else. I can make her like scowling, so she's showing off her teeth, but not exactly smiling. Okay, let's see what eyes we can draw so that it's more obvious which one do we like more. At this step, I think I should erase these lines a little bit so it won't be in the way, because if we are going to be drawing eyes right here, it's going to be too messy. So okay, if you don't know how to draw eyes, you can, it really helps to draw eye sockets. Gonna look silly or maybe creepy or weird at first, but it's gonna help you later. And always remember that the apple of the eye is round. It's not just a 2D circle, it's a 3D ball. So you have to keep that in mind. So I'm drawing the lower eyelid and then the upper. See how it curves around the apple of the eye. Maybe even a little bit bigger. And then using these lines, we could draw the eyelids. I just need to look at her first. See, she has a pretty prominent, well, I don't really remember how it's called, like the brow bone, I guess, this part. So her eye socket is pretty deep and we can see her upper eyelid pretty well. Well, she has eyelashes and also a lot of eyeshadow, so it's not very obvious, but it's there. So if we erase the eyeball, we can draw it right here. Okay, this one was just the explaining of how I draw the eyes, or how I learn to draw the eyes, because usually I just start from the sketch and not drawing the eyeball. But if you're struggling to draw eyes, just make it easy on you and draw the eyeball. Okay, so I'll be explaining everything what I do, I think, on the base, like when we're drawing the rough sketch, but when I'll be refining it, I think I'll talk more about myself, maybe, if you're interested. And why am I doing this stream today? And I haven't streamed in a very, very long time. I don't even remember the last time I did it. Maybe last year. Yeah, probably last year in April or May. Great. Okay. So I'll talk more about myself when I'm refining the sketch. Okay, the second eye. Since we are drawing from this angle, we won't be able to see this part of the second eye, so it's probably gonna start somewhere right here where the bridge of the nose is. Again, don't worry about the placement just yet. If you're drawing digitally, we can always fix that. But if you're drawing traditionally and you're using pencils, make sure you don't press on your pencil too hard, because that way your lines will be too thick and it will be hard for you to erase the rough sketch later. And if you, for example, when people are starting to draw, they usually like to go over one line over and over and over again and trying to fix it, and usually it ends up in a very messy sketch where you can't really tell which line is the good one, and it will be pretty hard to line it later. So please make sure you're drawing very lightly. Yeah, looks okay. think we don't need these lines anymore. Can erase them. Maybe draw the nostril. I think we can delete this sketch already because I'm not really sure about the smiling, so it's not needed anymore. Also, we're gonna erase this line, or you can draw the baselines on a different layer so that when you're drawing above it, it will be on a separate layer. But since I'm pretty comfortable with erasing it because I don't really need it already, I can erase it. So here is her cheekbones, and let's see her chin. She has a pretty, not triangular and not very square, but not round chin either, so it's kind of like both. It's a little bit like a diamond shape if you do this, see? So we're gonna keep that in mind and try to replicate it in our drawing. Pretty sharp chin. Okay. Also, I draw the irises pretty late on the sketch. I think it's the last thing that I do usually, so she's gonna be a little bit creepy for a while. Oh, she has sharp ears. The only thing you need to do to sharpen the ears is just elongate the top part of it and just make it a little bit elvish. As for the ears, since we started from just not very down oval, we can give it a little bit more detail. So usually it has a little corner right here, then the part where it's usually pierced, and a little, sorry, I don't know the parts of the ear, so I'm just gonna call it curves and lines. It goes kind of like this, and then like this. See, and also please remember that when you're looking on the person from a side, so let's just draw a little sketch of the profile. The ear is not completely straight. It's not placed like this. It's a little bit tilted to the side because these you can follow the line of the jaw. See this line? It goes a little bit like that, angled, and then here will be the ear that is a little bit angled. Don't forget about that. Okay, let's move it to the side. Also, let's mirror it, and now we can see that our eyes is too close to each other, so we're gonna move it a tiny bit. How do I know that the eyes are too close to each other? Usually there is a distance between the eyes that can fit one more eye. So For example, you can take this length and just see, kind of fits. It varies from person to person, of course, but kind of like regular proportions of the human is one more eye between the eyes. Okay, let's draw a neck. I think I need to move this to this side so it doesn't get in the way. Make it a little, oh no, I can't make it a little bit bigger because she has horns. Okay, kind of like that. Looks good. The ear though should be like this. We can elongate this line and then bring it a little bit down to the chin. For example, if you imagine a line that goes to the chin, this part is gonna be your side of the cheek. So when you're coloring it, which will be not today unfortunately, because this stream is going to be just the sketch and then the refined sketch. So this one is gonna be a bit later. So anyway, this line. Also, I think her mouth is a little bit too not really small, but I don't like it. I think we should change it and maybe elongate her chin, because if we see closely, this part is a lot longer than mine. So if we want it to look like Angelina Jolie, we should probably do that. And also, if you make the jawline lower, it will automatically make the person you're drawing much more, not much more, but older, because when you grow up, your face gets bigger, of course, and visually your eyes looks a little bit smaller than it does when you're a child, because when you're a child you have a small chin, you have a small face, a small nose, a small mouth, and big eyes. So if you want your character to look cute, you can always just use this formula. If you want it cuter, make smaller chin, smaller nose, smaller mouth, and it'll be super cute, and bigger eyes, of course. But if you want like grown-up person or serious someone or anything, you can always make the face a little bit bigger and longer, and the eyes not so much. And also, when while you grow, the only parts of your face that keeps growing till you die is your nose and your ears. So the older you get, the bigger your nose and your ears, not eyes. Did I say eyes? Your nose and your ears gets bigger with age. So keep that in mind. Okay, back to Maleficent. Let's draw her irises. Which way do we want her to look? Oh, I like this way here. Kinda downwards, like if she's flying and looking down on somebody. If you watch the second movie, there was a lot of flying, so it makes sense. Pupils. Okay, the pupils. And the irises. Let's talk about that. I'm gonna sketch a rough kind of eye. When I was learning to draw. My biggest, not biggest, my main problem with eyes were the irises, because I couldn't get them right and they always looked kind of strange and I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with them. Turns out I was always drawing the iris like a circle. Whichever direction the character was looking, I was always drawing it a circle. But please remember that the iris is a circle, right? But if you imagine an eyeball and the iris goes to the left or to the right, the circle gonna squish and turn into an oval. So if we're looking on the character from the side and the character doesn't look at you, isn't looking at you, that means that the irises is going to be not a circle but an oval. So if we bring it down, see, it's gonna be like this, but since we can't see through the skin, we're just gonna draw this part. And the irises like this. Also, the iris is not gonna be right in the middle. Let's bring back the sketch. Gonna look like this, and this part of the iris is gonna be a little bit bigger than the right side, because again, the pupil is right in the middle, and when the person looks to the side, it kind of change a little bit. I think I just confused myself. Sorry. Yeah, well, I just draw these curved thingies because if I draw a circle, it's gonna look a little bit crazy. And also when the light goes into the eye, there is gonna be a little shine. That's why you won't gonna see the whole pupil. And it's also just makes life easier for me to see where the person is looking. Kind of like that. Okay. Add her some eyelashes. And change the mouth maybe. Make it a little bit more angry. Now, when you're drawing emotions and have no idea how to draw them, it is always helpful to have a mirror by your side. I always have a mirror right here, because whenever I draw, and I know a lot of artists do that, I just do the same expression as I'm drawing because it helps me. Even if I don't look at myself, I just kind of do this and try to realize what I'm doing and draw the same thing. See, also if I do this, I notice that my bridge of the nose is wrinkles. So if we add this line, it will add more emotion to the character. But again, it depends on the style you prefer, because if you prefer more cartoony style, the less lines the better, because it's gonna be too much if you overdo it. But this too is okay. We could also add the wrinkle on the nose, because if you do this, there is a wrinkle, but I don't really like to do that, because see, we have a cheekbone, we have a line here, we also have lines here, and it kind of gonna be on the way. It's just my preference. Again, if you want to add it, you can add it, but I don't usually do that. Also, if you skull like her, you're gonna see the gums, because that's just what happens when you do this. It's really helpful to have a web camera, I guess, because I do a lot of explaining with my face. So I'm gonna edit like here, and then draw the lines for her lips, and maybe add a bit right here. See, this looks right now like she's doing this. Looks weird. We need to add the lower teeth, the lower, upper, I don't know. You get it, I guess. The lower teeth. Okay. Now her expression is okay. Okay, great, we're done with the face. Now we need to move on to her neck. So if we keep drawing her back of the head, it's gonna, let's change the color. It's gonna go kind of like here and then to the chin, see? So her neck is gonna be somewhere right here at the nape of the head. Great. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, because maybe it sounds like obvious to me, but not very obvious to you, or I explained something not very clearly and you don't understand. Just ask away and I'll try to explain it a little bit clearer. So this line, what is this line? This is the neck muscles, this one. It helps me to know where the body is going to be. And these muscles are going from the middle of the neck to the ear. So if we draw it like through the skin, it's gonna be like this. And these muscles, they are attached to the collarbones. So if we imagine it here, it's gonna look something like this. But if we zoom in, right now we just see this part, and then we can't really see what happens here. What actually happens is this muscle, it goes down and kind of swerves to the side and then splits into two. So right here is gonna be a space between the muscles, and when a person is like flexing their neck, you're gonna see this part, but I don't think we have it. Yeah, we don't really have it here because she's kind of both. I didn't study art in university. I studied actually linguistics. I studied English, but as for anatomy, you can use different books, because I used just a bunch of books and read them and tried to copy the works of the artists that made those books. Also, live drawing helps a lot, because you draw from a real person and see how the light reflects from a human body and how it behaves and how it moves. So I didn't study it like somewhere. I studied it kind of myself. So you can do it. So, okay, I'm just stuck with the neck muscles. You can ignore it right now because we don't really need that. It was a little bit about the neck anatomy, I guess. So let's figure out how she's gonna be positioned. And I wanna change. I use just a regular round brush for pretty much anything. I just lower the opacity to sketch, and then when I do the refined sketch or line art, I just bring back the opacity to somewhere around 80, 75 maybe, and then just draw it carefully. I don't usually use textured brushes. Maybe when I'm drawing landscapes, it's useful to use textures. But if you're just sketching, it doesn't really matter, because usually when you use a textured brush, it makes everything a little bit too messy, at least for me, so I don't really like to use them. So a round brush is pretty versatile. Okay, next step that I do is I draw the collarbones, because it helps me to know which way the person is looking. And then you can imagine the collarbones and this part of the shoulders is kind of like a triangle, because if you look from the front of the person, here's the neck, and then the collarbones are pretty straight. They're a little bit angled, but let's not go into such details right now. So see, this is a triangle. So usually I try to kind of do it like this, but again, we don't need these lines. It's just gonna help us to see where the things is going to be right behind her face. Again, let's move it a little bit. Okay, then next thing, which is pretty useful, is drawing the center line of the body. Since we're looking at her from the side, just imagine a rib cage. Here's the neck hole, and it's gonna look kind of like this. I'm gonna put it right here. No. So it's gonna go down a little bit curved, and then we can it's paint tool SI. I have a pretty old laptop, so Photoshop is very slow for me. And also SI has a stabilizer for the brush right here. The bigger the number, the more smoother your line will be. So if you're gonna put it like on the 15, it's gonna be super smooth. But if I bring it to 0, it's gonna react to your every move. So if you have a like shaky hands, or if you're not very comfortable with line art just yet, you can put it on the maximum number and then just go lower with time. Okay, the shoulders. How to attach shoulders to the collarbones. Right here on the sides of the collarbones is where the shoulder muscles attach, and they attach that way that right here we have a little dent in the body, so it's gonna be kind of like in shadow a lot of the times, so you can just kind of touch yourself. Sounds weird, I know. And feel where your muscles or where your bones is placed. It also helps. And then from here, the chest, and then the shoulder bones. So if we draw a bigger image, I usually do it like that. You can imagine, it helped me to imagine a raglan shirt, the one that has like sleeves right from the neck downwards, not like this t-shirt that has the shoulders cut right here, but the one that goes from the neck right here, like that. See, it helps. And then the rest. Maybe move it to this side a little bit. See, this line helps us to realize where the middle of the breast is going to be. Looks good to me. And then the shoulders. Oh, also Maleficent has exaggerated collarbones right here, but you can add it right here. But a normal human doesn't have it, so it's just her anatomy, I guess. And then the shoulders. We're not gonna go any lower, I guess. Just gonna do this. Body is done. Usually I like to keep the body separate from the head and the neck, because if I make mistake, if my body is too big, which can happen, I can easily just transform it and not bother with separating the body from the head, because I have it already on a separate layer. And now I guess the horns and her hair, I need to make it a little bit smaller. The question is about the how to draw emotions and face expressions. As I said, it's very helpful to have a mirror, and you also can draw separate face parts. For example, draw just eyes. The most important part of the expression is your eyebrows. For example, if you have let's just draw like a smiley face, but not smiling, just eyes, like that. If we draw eyebrows downwards, it's gonna look angry. If we draw the same eyes, they don't change, but we draw the opposite angle, it's gonna look either sad or scared. So the same thing goes with humans, because use emojis on your phone. They depict face expressions really well, because it's just simple circles with sticks for eyebrows, but you still get the expression. For example, let's just have the same two expressions, but on the character I'm gonna hide the Maleficent and draw a little face. Let's even change the eyes from circles to half circles, because it's gonna be pretty important. And then copy and paste. If we bring the eyebrows down, see, it's already angry. So we can think of a mouth that fits with these eyes. We can make it kind of screaming with anger. But this face, we can make it kind of like puppy eyes with eyebrows going up. So we really can add any mouth right here. If we do it small and opened, it's gonna be surprised. If you do the smile, it's gonna be like very friendly. If you do the closed smile and exaggerate these lines, it's gonna be kind of shy. Or if you add blush, it's gonna be shy. So it really all is in the eyebrows. So whichever way goes the eyebrows, you should always remember that the eyelids go the same way. See? I hope it helps. Because usually when you can't really depict an expression, it's the eyebrows that don't work. Or you can play with the lower lid. For example, if a person is smiling, but their eyes is wide open, it won't look like a smile from happiness. It's gonna look like an awkward smile or confused smile when somebody says something or asks something offensive, for example, or weird, and you don't know how to respond, and you just go, okay, kind of like that. So if you look at your drawing and don't know what's wrong, just try to look at the mirror and then analyze your face expression. It's either the eyebrows or the lower lids. Or you can just also try to draw differently a little bit some parts. For example, see, if I do this, he's gonna be really mad. But if I do this, he's just angry. Where is she? Oh. Okay, back to Maleficent and her horns. Let's see. Do we have a good example? Not really. Okay. The only thing we can see that her horns is not really on her forehead, but more like an extension from the top part of her forehead. So if we see this corner, her horns is gonna be here. Whenever I draw horns, it's very helpful to draw the base of the horn like a circle. because this way it's gonna be much easier for me to attach the horns to the head later. And also do remember about the shape of the head. It's round, so right here we won't be seeing the circle. It's gonna just turn into a line. And then we can draw the shape, the general direction of her horns. Kind of like this. Horns are a bit tricky because they curve in all the different directions, in all the different directions, and it's sometimes confusing how to shade them properly, because see right here we see this part of the horn and then it goes away from us and we can't really see it anymore. We see the other part of the horn. So what I usually do is just draw the main shape and then don't draw it in one line like this, because this way it's gonna be very flat and very 2D. What you need to do is draw this line and then stop and draw the second line right behind it. And then do it like this, and same goes for this part. And then the second thing that will help you to draw horns is the directions of the circles. Not circles, it's like a cut of the horn. For example, if you cut it in half right here or here, you will be able to see the circle part. And here I think it's gonna be flat. Kind of like that. I think her. I think I should. Yes, pretty much. I always used reference pictures. Oh my god, what is going on? I pretty much always used, and it's also very helpful to use reference, especially if you're drawing a character from a movie or a comic book or anything, because you need to look at the reference and analyze the proportions of the face, if it's a real person. If it's just your imagination and you're able to draw from your head, not using references, please feel free to do that. But if you're just beginning or trying to learn something new, using references is very helpful. As for me, I stopped like using references on a daily basis when I drew for myself and not fan art, or when I drew my characters and I needed to come up with a pose or something and I could do it from my head because I knew already anatomy and I knew how to draw it, then yeah, I can draw without references. But it took me around 6 or maybe 7 years to start drawing without references. But using references is always good, even if you are experienced artist, and there is nothing bad in using references because there is so much to learn. For example, if I draw a landscape or a cityscape or anything that I've never drawn before, it's better to use references than try to draw it from your head and trying to figure out how to draw it on your own, because it's really hard to remember everything. Like if you ask me to draw a I don't know, a car from memory, I won't be able to do it because I've never really drawn a car. I don't think so. I think, well, maybe I sketched them, one or two, but I won't be able to recall it in every little detail from just memory. So using references is pretty essential for drawing. Okay, the second horn needs to go a little bit to this side. But yeah, references are good for you because you can't have all of the things in your head. It's just impossible to have this kind of memory. Well, I don't say that there are no people that can't do it, but it's really, really hard, and it's easier to use references when you need it. Something about her second horn looks weird. I think it's too small, and it also needs to go this way. Huh? Kind of like this. Also, I think I should make this previous one a little bit more angular because I don't like how soft it is. I really like sharp lines in art. Kind of like that maybe. I feel like this one is too curved. Yeah, this looks much better. I also think that this part it should go there. Yeah. Now it looks okay. Great. So she doesn't really have her hair right here, so we're just gonna add her headpiece, which is pretty simple to draw. Yeah, you can kind of like sketch your idea without the references just to bring out the idea from your head, and then when you feel like you need help, then sure, make it a little bit more detailed. Okay, the headpiece is done, and now I think I want to attach her horns to her head, and then attach her headpiece to her head. Yeah, thank God for for digital art. That's one of the main reasons that I do everything digitally now, because you can just select something and then change it if you want, or copy and paste it. I don't have the patience to draw traditionally on paper, because I always try to press Control Z or Control T to transform stuff or edit or delete, and you can't really do it on paper, and I'm not very patient with pencils. The only thing that I draw traditionally is live drawing sketches, because usually it takes about 5 minutes for me to draw a person, like a sketch of a person, a full body. And when you drawing from life, you need to you don't have to take a lot of time to draw it, because the faster you draw it, the more you will draw. I mean, the more people you will draw, and you won't have any time to worry about your mistakes or try to erase it and stuff. You just draw it and then make mistake and then think, okay, next, draw the next one, and just gain experience from that. When oh yeah, but at the same time, digital art does spoil people, but why not to use it when we can? For example, when I talk to people that work at game development companies and stuff, they are pretty okay with using photo bashing, using just plain photos as backgrounds, for example, changing colors, changing anything, using transform tool and all the digital software tools. The only thing that matters there is time, so the faster you can do it, the better. So I think it's a pro rather than a con. So, and it's yeah, I agree that it's pretty great to draw anything and don't make any mistakes, and it can happen if you practice a lot and it just draw flawlessly from the first try. But there are days when you're not in the mood or something goes wrong. Sometimes I also have those days. I just sit down, start drawing, and then I just think, what? I thought I can draw, but turns out I can't. And it just turns out into some kind of really ugly drawing. But it's just those days sometimes. You can breathe in, breathe out, and keep drawing. What are these lines? Hi to everyone who has joined the stream. Okay, I think we're done with the sketch. I will delete this. Oh, not these layers, and then move it a little bit. Okay. Usually I keep the sketch on separate layers, because when I do the next part, I like to turn off and on these layers. I also make a folder so that I can easily hide it if I need, and then lower the opacity, make the color a little darker, make the density of the brush more prominent, and then just start refining the sketch. Actually, this one is pretty refined already, but if you need a neater look of the line art in order to make good what did I say? Sorry. If you need a more neater sketch in order to make good line art, then please do make sure to make a neat sketch. Because for example, right here, see, I have very thick lines and I don't know which way to go, like to draw the line here or to draw it here or in the middle, and it can change the picture in the end. But since I know what I'm doing and I'm okay with drawing from my head and I can see what will be going on right here, I can make line art right from here. But when I started drawing, it took me I think 2 or 3 sketches before I could make a line art. I do like a very rough sketch of the head, and then I lower the opacity, do a little bit more something. Then there is like stuff that I did too much. For example, I can draw an eye and it will look like a black dot. Then I will have to make another layer and then do another sketch and so on and so on. And it usually takes like 2 or 3 steps. So if your process takes a little bit longer, it's totally okay. But mine is looks already neat, so we can start just lining it. And I think I can talk about how did I start drawing and why I kept going and why I draw still, I guess. I started drawing when I was 18 in 2008. I was really bored and I didn't have anything to do because we had just one computer between me and my brother, and while he was at the computer and I couldn't use it, I needed something to do, so I decided drawing traditional portraits with pencils. I drew pretty much always celebrities that I like Jared Leto or Jonas Brothers and stuff. So back then, yeah, I always used references. I drew just random people, and those portraits were very realistic. Like I spent, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours on a portrait, just refining it and shading and stuff. I think I will make a file with steps of my art improvements later. I think I have one, but it's very old and I need to update it, so you will be able to see all the steps of my art journey. So I started with portraits, and I think I spent around 9 months drawing them, and then for my birthday my parents gave me my first tablet. I think it was Wacom 1. It was super cheap, around like $20 or something. It was really cheap, but it worked fine, and I remember I just couldn't stop drawing, and I signed in on DeviantArt, found some friends that also just started drawing, that also enjoyed the same things. We were drawing a lot of Percy Jackson, what else? Mainly Percy Jackson. We did a lot of fan art. Also, if you know Viria, she also was Viria 13 for a while. Me, Viria, and also my friends, 3 of us, we started at the same time, so we would draw fan art non-stop. I remember I would draw a piece of art every day for a few months, I think. I was drawing in Photoshop at first, and I struggled a lot with line art, and all of my lines looked kinda like that because it was very unusual for me to draw on the tablet, so I had to spend a lot of time just cleaning the lines, making it look decent. But then I discovered Painter's Sai and its stabilizer, and it just improved my line art a lot. And also back then I sketched on paper, then scanned it and brought it to Photoshop and lines and colored in there. So I have a pretty big pile of sketches from back then. And then I think in 2010 I bought my current tablet, which is Intuos 4. And since then I've been using it, and it served me very well, and I have nothing bad to say about it because it always worked just fine. Let me see. I have notes here about my art journey because I can't just bring it up from the top of my head. 2010. Okay, I bought my new tablet, and I think I started drawing a lot of portraits. At first I drew a lot of cartoony, kind of like trying to be Disney art, but then I went back to drawing portraits, more realistic portraits, but with cell shading. So it was just flat colors with a tiny bit of shading, and the shading looked very sharp. I really enjoyed that style, I still do, and I've been drawing like that for a year, I think, and then in 2012, I think in 2012, I realized that it's not something that I want to do. I pretty much 80% of my art were just portraits of characters and people. And in 2012 I decided that I think I want to draw more cartoony and simple anatomy. So I pushed myself to learn anatomy, to draw more full body drawings of characters and simplify the style that I was drawing in. But at the same time, my drawing style became simpler, but my shading became more not realistic but softer, because I wanted to draw more and draw quickly. Yeah, the Wacom tablet is pretty good, and it hasn't glitched like at all since then, which is pretty impressive. But again, Wacom makes great tablets, but also if you're starting and don't know which tablets to use, and Wacom tablet can be pretty expensive, you can always buy Hayon. I think that's how it's pronounced, the Chinese company that makes tablets. I've drawn on them. I worked at a art studio and we had Hayon tablets there, and they are really good. They work just fine and do the same thing as Wacom, or even more sometimes. People are asking if I will make an art book. Well, when I started joining the local conventions, I did make a small kind of an art book. It's not really an art book, it's a small zine with my and my friends' art, but we are thinking about doing uh, an art book. But in order to make it, I need to make new art, because all of the art that I have is pretty old. But yeah, you're not the first one that tells me to make an art book, so I think I have to think about it. I have stickers, I have cards, bookmarks, and stuff on my Etsy, but I haven't made an art book just yet. Okay, where did I stop? 2012, I started drawing more cartoony, softer coloring. Oh, and then in 2014, I discovered Deadpool and Spider-Man. Not that I didn't know about them, it's just I started really enjoying it. So I dived more into comic book kind of art, and that's where I found the more angular lines like this, because if you look through like a regular comic book, I guess, you can see that all of the art is very, very angular, especially if it's like Marvel or DC and it's about superheroes. There are a lot of art that is like very, very sharp and angular, so I tried to replicate that style, and my style went from a softer one to more angular. But right now I really just mix it all up. Sometimes I use more angular lines, sometimes I use softer lines. It all depends on the character I'm drawing, really. People are asking about my character Kite and to make me draw more of him. Well, it's been what, like 5 or 6 years since then. For those who don't know who Kai is my character who I made in 2013 or 14, 13 I think, or 12. I don't remember really. It was really long ago, and it also was me and another artist. We made a bunch of characters and drew them a lot. It was like a rock band or something like that with a bunch of very handsome guys, and it was a really nice time. But right now I don't feel like drawing him. Sometimes when I don't know what to draw and I want to draw something familiar and something that is in my comfort zone that makes me just relax and enjoy drawing, maybe, but the inspiration for him is really, really gone long ago. The question is there something or someone that I studied that I kind of, I guess, been inspired by? I think at some point I've just used comic books and tried to draw from them. Like I drew a lot of Spider-Man, like made studies of the anatomy from the Spider-Man because I like the style. I don't think I've ever had an artist that really maybe I was really inspired by an artist that is known as Ugly or Creature 13, because she was drawing a lot of Deadpool and Spider-Man together, and she also has very angular style, but I've never copied her work to try and replicate the style. I was just looking and thinking, damn, she's good. I've used a book. I think the author is Jack Ham or Ham. I will post the link to the book in the description of this stream because it will be later available on the channel, so you'll be able to see what book I'm talking about, because right now I can't really remember the name. I think it was something like Drawing Human Anatomy or something like it. It has a very simple title, and the author was Jack Ham, I think, with double M. But other than that, not really. I don't think so. I've tried to replicate Loish's style at some point. A lot of people like her style with her flowy lines and hair and how warm her colors are and very soft. But then it just kind of didn't stick with me. So more like, at least I call my style like a mix of Disney and comic book art, even though I know that comic book art can be very, very different, but like the old school comic book art, though I'm not really keen on very sexualized women in comic books, of course. And I was super excited. Well, the only thing, I think, the only artist that I was very inspired by, but not inspired in an art way, but in a way like, oh my god, it's an artist and she works at DC and she draws Batgirl. It was Beb Starr, when she made a new redesign of the Batgirl with Dr. Martens and leather jacket and leggings, and not the sexy suit that people usually draw Batgirl in. And I was very inspired by that, and also by the concept art of Spider-Gwen, because I really enjoyed that she was wearing sneakers and not like plain suit. Yeah, and then well, as I said, I didn't study art in university or anything like that. I was self-taught pretty much. But then in 2014, I was hired by a local art studio where people were teaching how to draw digitally, and I was one of the teachers. And I worked there for 3 years, from 2014 to 2017. So I learned a lot from there, because there were a lot of other teachers who had very different styles and very different skills. So I learned kind of like from a mix of people from my work. They are not really people who post online, so I can't really, I guess, show you, there are a few people that has Instagram and stuff. But yeah, when I was working there, I tried to draw more realistically because I had to improve in order to teach there. So from 2015 to 2016 maybe, I spent some time on improving my rendering skills. How I tried to draw different stuff like animals, landscapes, vehicles, and things that I'm not used to drawing. So it really helped me to learn how to build a base for a drawing. Like I learned to see simple shapes in complex things. It really helps a lot. Like it was the most useful skill that I learned there. The question is, how do I decide what price should I put on my commission, and if I ever had a person that didn't pay me. Well, I started from the lowest price that I could put on my commission. I think the first commission that I started, sorry. The first commission that I took was back in 2013, I guess. I was doing commissions, and it was around like $10 or $15 for a full body, I think. So if you're just starting, I suggest you to look through the prices of other artists and try to see where at the skill level you are. And then with time, I just realized that there are a lot of people that want to commission me, so I made my prices a little bit higher, and then there were more people that wanted to commission me, then I made it a little bit higher again, and then it went on and on and on throughout the years, and right now it's like that's the prices that I take from a commission. As for a person that didn't pay, I don't think that, maybe it did happen to me, but I don't remember because it was very long ago. But I started taking the payment up front, I think right at the beginning, so that it won't happen to me. If you want to start taking commissions, I advise you to split the payment in half. I work this way. Whenever I'm ready to start a commission, I write an email to my commissioner and say like, hey, I'm ready to start, what do you want me to draw? Then we figure out the price for them, because people want different commissions, like they want full color, or they want flat coloring, or they want full body, or just portrait. So I make an estimate of their price. They say, okay, I'm good to go, and then I send an invoice via PayPal, and they either can pay right away the full amount, or if they're not comfortable with it and they're working with me for the first time, and if they're not sure that I will make their commission, because it's also it's not really possible because I do all of the commissions that I promise, but I can understand that the person doesn't trust me right away. So they can split the payment in half. The first half is paid right away, right before I start drawing anything. Then I do the sketch, send them to the commissioner. Commissioner looks at the sketch. If there are any changes that are needed to be done, then I do it, change the sketch, maybe maybe there are stuff like change face expression or move the hands or stuff like that. But please make sure that you let the commissioner know that the only stage that are editable is the stage of the sketch, so that they know that any changes after that will cost more or you won't be doing them at all. Just make sure you let them know about it. And then when they approve of the sketch, when we made all the changes they wanted, they say, okay, I like the sketch. And I go, okay, great. Then you can pay the rest of the payments and I will continue drawing. So they make the rest of the payments. I have the full amount, the full amount of the money, and I finish the drawing. Thank you. Oh yeah. So yeah, about the commissions, I've been doing them non-stop for 2 years, and I feel like I'm stuck, like I'm not improving, because all of the energy I have for drawing, I spent it on commissions. And whenever I have free time that I can spend on drawing for myself, I feel a little bit too tired to draw anything. So if I draw something, usually it's for a commission, and it's been like that for 2 years already, and I think it's time for me to change things up. That's why we're doing this stream today, so that later we can continue doing it. And also, we were thinking, me and my team, that in order for me to change things up, because I'm kind of stuck in a circle right now, because since I'm living off of the commissions, whenever I need money, I need to draw commissions, so I don't have time to draw for myself. And we thought that it would be a good idea for me to start something new, something from myself, something that would be useful to other people too. And since I have an experience as a teacher, I have some things that I can teach people. So this stream is like a part 1 of a series of not really classes, but maybe workshops, masterclass, or something, whichever you prefer, because the title doesn't really matter. The thing is, it's gonna be a series of workshops where you can draw along, and I will teach you tips and tricks that I've gained throughout these years, where you will be able to ask questions, and I will try to help you. And we'll be drawing different characters, maybe characters from movies, cartoons, animated movies, maybe characters from your imagination, my imagination. Well, possibilities are endless anyway. Yeah, so this one is the first one, and then we'll be making more. But the only thing is that it's not going to be for free, because since I am trying to change my like job, because right now I'm a freelancer that is drawing just commissions, it will cost a little bit. Right now I can't really tell when it will start, because we have some things that we need to settle down, but I think by the end of this week we'll be able to start everything. So if you're interested, I will share a link for it later this week because right now we don't really have it. And I will appreciate it a lot if you join. But if you don't wanna, I won't be, how do I say it in English? I'm not making you do something, because if you don't want it, don't buy it. If you're interested, I would be very glad and very happy if you help me to make something new. So yeah, that's the Unfortunately, I don't think I know anybody that does those commissions. Though I think I know one person, and I might be able to meet them this weekend, maybe. But the thing is, I'm from Russia, and that person is also obviously from Russia, and she makes, she works for companies and not like just people from the internet. So her prices may be a little bit on the higher end, but if I can, I will ask her, and you can note me or message me or send me an email, whichever you prefer, and I will try to help you. But right now, I don't think I know anyone that makes those kinds of commissions. The question is about the classes that I'm going to make. If it's gonna be related to my Patreon, no, it's not gonna be related to my Patreon. It's gonna be a whole different site. We'll be making online streams like this one. I think 1 or 2 times a week, more likely 2 times a week. And we'll be drawing for a month, I think, or maybe 2 weeks. Each class will take about 2 weeks, so about 4 streams, classes, however you like to call it. Then she has a lot of bird skulls on her shoulders. So right now I'm just gonna draw it like triangles, because it's too much. But yeah, that's the exciting news. I'm really excited about it, because when I was working as a teacher at that studio, I really enjoyed it, because it feels very special when you explain something to a person and they get it and their art improve with time. However it improves, I don't know. So I thought that it would be great that this time I will be teaching something that I created, because when I was working in that studio, I was teaching a class that created a person, the other person, not me. But right now it's all mine, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited if it's gonna bring some changes to my life, because if you do like it, if people like it, if people will come and buy my classes, then I will have more time to draw for myself, to create something new, and I really can't wait to draw something else rather than commissions. And I really miss the feeling that you get when you draw and you really enjoy it. A lot of cuts. Okay, I'm not gonna draw skulls back here, because the thing is, the farther away from you something is, the less you see. So if you wanna, for example, if you're just making a sketch, you don't want it to be colored, you don't want it to line art, you just want to stop at this stage of the sketch. What you can do to make it look a little bit more finished than it is. For example, if we stopped right now and I said, okay, I don't want to draw it anymore, that's it. I need to, okay, just a few lines right here. How to okay, great, then just send me a note and I will try to help you. So if you want to make it look a little bit more finished, what you can do is trace your whole outline of your drawing. Like right now, see, the only thick line I have is her face, and that's it. And in order to make it look a little bit more finished, you can just trace it with a bigger brush. And also this way you can bring out the pieces that are much closer to you. For example, right here, it's the closest part. So you wanna trace it more. But don't trace these bigs because they are far away and you don't want to make it look like it's closer, because if you do it like this, it will be too much, especially with her face. So don't touch it, and we just can trace a bit here, maybe here. Does she have anything else? Okay, so I think we're coming to an end. So I want to just talk about a little bit more about the classes that I'm going to teach. So as I said, it's the first one, and the next one we're gonna be coloring this piece. We're gonna make maybe clean the line art or make a new one from scratch, because this one is, see, the bigs are very, very sketchy. And we'll be coloring her, and I will be teaching you how to do it and how I do it, and how to make it easier and faster in Sire or Procreate or Photoshop, really anything, whichever program you use. And yeah, the announcement about the classes will be later this week or maybe at the beginning of the next week. So please stay tuned. But I will make sure that I post about it, I think, everywhere. So whichever platform you use, it will be there. Yeah, and those of you who signed up through the link that I put in my Instagram, DeviantArt, and other platforms, those of you who signed up, you will be getting an email. So make sure you don't miss it, because it's gonna have some interesting info. I can't tell you right now, but it will be there. So yeah, I think that's yeah. And if you didn't sign up, but you still want to get the message about the classes, And if you don't want to miss it, you can still sign up. The description, or the link is in the description. The description is in oh, you get it. The link is in the description of my Instagram. It's in my DeviantArt journal. It's on my Tumblr. It's on my Twitter. Well, you can find it pretty much anywhere you follow me. So if you want to stay tuned for that, please make sure to sign up. I would really, really appreciate it. And I think we're done for today. So thank you for coming. Thank you for keeping me company, asking me questions, and just being interested in my art and me, I guess. Yeah, okay, I'll stop. That's it. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. So, again, I will post this stream on YouTube. Also, I will post the link to the book that I referred to later in the description to the stream. And yeah, I think that's all I have to do later. And yeah, and the announcement will be later this week, so make sure you don't miss it. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. I'm kind of feeling like a YouTuber right now. Thanks for watching. Leave a like. Yeah, so have a good day or have a good night, whatever time it is at your place. I'm gonna head out and I think sleep. So yeah, bye.